Hello, welcome to Reddit Stories. I'm Shane, and today's theme is all about parties, celebrations, and you name it. We've got weddings, we've got all sorts of stuff today, and I am joined by two of my friends, Angela and Chance. These are obviously going to be celebrations gone wrong.
It's not like happy
the
ending.
the nature of these stories are rarely just like, and everything's good and everyone's happy.
Yeah.
This is not a wholesome episode.
Oh.
I don't believe. So, have you been at parties or celebrations that have gone wrong?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. My family threw me a surprise birthday party for my 16th birthday at Bubba Gump, and I hate attention when I can't control it. And I walked in there, saw everyone, threw a fit, started screaming, and ran out.
And you didn't come back.
No, then my dad had to go get me.
Where did you go?
I was just a teenager and I was crying outside and I was being like, I don't want this! I hate this! I hate this! Because it was all my mom's friends and it wasn't my friends. She got like 2 friends from my school, but then the rest was like my cousins. And I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't like attention. And then my dad was trying to calm me down and the waitress thought my dad was hurting me because I was like, get off me! Get off me! No, I made a bad celebration.
It's hard to imagine you throwing a fit like that.
Yeah, I was a crazy teen. I was screaming.
Wow.
Yeah.
Chance?
I've been to a couple surprise parties where the couple shows up. They're both were 2 different couples, but they were obviously fighting right before the surprise part, and they came into the door, and it was just, you could tell that they did not want the party. They did not want to see people, and they had to sit through the party. And then one of the parties that I went to where that happened, they did end up leaving halfway through.
Oh.
They couldn't stop butting heads.
Oh.
Really awkward.
Yikes.
But hey, there was drinks, there was food.
At least there was that.
I was having a good time.
Okay. Well, let's get into these stories. First one. Am I the asshole for faking a serious eye injury, making my mom faint, and ruining my birthday party? So this happened at Bubba Gump. All right. My mom thinks the height of humor is to smash me and my siblings' faces into our birthday cakes. I have no idea why, but it amuses her to smash our faces into birthday cakes. I just turned 15, and I told her that if she planned to do that to me again, I would rather not have a cake or even a party. She promised that she would not do it, and she was upset that I threatened to not attend if she planned it without that promise. I knew she was lying because I know her, so I made a plan with my friends. One of them does cosplay and helped me out with a very basic trick. The other 2 that were there to play along and make it worse. When my mom smashed my face into the cake, as expected, I screamed like I was shot. I took the patch I had in my hand and pulled my face away from the cake and put my hand on my eye. The patch had a stub of candle that stuck out between my fingers and some fake blood. My friends came to the rescue and I screamed that I couldn't see out of that eye. One of them looked under my hand and pretended to have to go to the bathroom to throw up. My mom literally fainted. Once that happened, I called off the joke pretty quickly. I showed everyone that it was just a joke, but the day was wrecked. There was fake blood everywhere, and someone had called an ambulance, which was good because we ended up needing it for my mom. I didn't get in trouble because I showed my dad the text showing that my mom had promised not to do the cake thing. But my mom is pissed that I made her look bad and like a liar because I showed everyone the text because they were all mad at me to begin with. I think that if she hadn't lied, then nothing would have happened, so this is all on her.
I love the receipts!
Justice! It is. You said you wouldn't. You did. Now you faint, bitch.
That's so funny!
It's so good, and it's so thought out. It's mega mind shit, and I'm all about it.
And if you really wanted to up that prank one more level, when the mom came to, they should have been like, you've been in a coma for 5 days. No, I mean, she really did just reverse the prank on her mom.
This is so funny.
To a pretty powerful level, but she did say, don't do this, and the mom did it, so.
That's what you get.
That's what she gets.
And there is risk. You can't just shove someone's face in shit.
I know fainting's scary, but it's so funny to think about something happening and someone going, ah! Like what, remember?
She faints perfectly into the cake.
Yeah, Damien during Betrayal, he had blood in his mouth. What if we fainted? Do you remember that time? He had a blood capsule in his mouth?
Yes, I do remember that.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Memories.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
What I will say is also, do they have a second cake?
No.
So that
You smash the cake. You smash someone's face into the cake. I'm not eating that cake.
No one's eating that cake.
Yeah, you're wasting the cake.
That's such
so
a
true.
waste
They
of the
don't
cake.
mention a second cake.
No.
But I don't know. No, I don't think. I'm not a huge fan of the smashing someone's face into a cake. Yeah, can it be funny? Sure, if everyone's cool with it.
Isn't it a thing
Yeah.
for weddings too to put it on their
Apparently,
faces?
Yeah.
some people do that, but only if people are like laughing and want to do it.
Yeah.
Like, put
It's
cake
not-
on my face.
It's not.
Put cake on my
yeah.
face.
Hey, do it. Do it. Please.
Put the
Please.
icing on my
I
chin.
need it. Yeah.
Someone please do it. Oh, honey.
Yes!
Some comments. You didn't make her look like a liar. She did that herself. Someone else said, not the asshole. Smashing someone's face in the cake is classic narcissist behavior. It turns the focus back on them while taking the person being celebrated down a peg. Her reaction is typical of a cornered narcissist as well.
I love it.
As a mother, I honestly cannot wrap my mind around how any parent could be this casually cruel to their children. You're not the asshole, but your mother is fucking awful. I would never speak to her again. What an absolute bitch.
Okay,
These
Jesus.
comments are like,
Oh my
she's a
God.
narcissist.
She should.
Don't speak to her again.
You should fucking kill your mom.
Yeah.
That maybe take a little bit to never speak to your mom again.
That's way too much.
That might be a little too much. We don't know enough about this relationship.
No.
I mean, here's the thing. I love my mom so much, but I did grow up and birthdays, me and my brother's birthdays were also a little bit her celebration. Like, she would always throw surprise parties because she loved it. And like when we were kids, it would be like a big theme that we would pick it, but it was like, some parents like really enjoy that.
Yeah.
And sometimes get a little carried away.
I agree.
But this also seems like someone who laughs when people fall. You know what I mean?
Like
Yeah.
laughing at other people's misery.
Yeah.
You just absolutely lose me when someone's like, hey, please don't do that. And then you
100%.
do it.
And you say,
Then I'm
I
like,
will not do that. That's a breach of trust.
That's absolutely,
Yeah, right.
That's absolutely crazy. Yeah, and it's your child. They're 15.
Yeah.
A 15-year-old daughter, like, I just
Volatile.
like anyone who's like at that age, at 15, it's like, man, if they're saying don't do something, just don't do it, man.
do it.
Like that age, everything feels like catastrophe.
Like, don't
And it's
bully your
their-
kid.
Yeah. It's their birthday. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, she fainted.
Good.
So fuck her.
It's so funny.
I hope she failed too.
Move on to our next story. So this is a hypothetical. They're about to potentially do something.
Okay.
Okay,
This is,
I don't usually like this because this is fake.
No, it's not fake.
It's not
It
fake.
didn't happen.
It's just that
It
they're
didn't happen
they're
yet.
planning on doing something.
I know, okay.
Would I be the asshole if I tell my friend her, in quotations, bridesmaids won't be throwing her an extensive bachelorette party if we aren't invited to the wedding?
If we,
We,
The
we
bridesmaids.
gonna find out.
her bridesmaids, won't be thrown.
This girl wants, I'm guessing this girl wants a bachelorette and is gonna like elope or something.
Okay. So I, 27-year-old woman, am friends with Jane, 28-year-old woman. Jane and her fiance, Brad, who's 29, recently got engaged. Jane is one of my best friends, and we have known each other since college. When talking about our future weddings, Jane has always expressed that she wants me and a handful of our other closest friends to be her bridesmaids and to have a destination wedding. When I saw Jane and Brad the day they got engaged, one of the first things Jane said to me was how excited she was for me and our other friend to be her bridesmaids. This was about a month ago. However, now that Jane and Brad have started looking at wedding planning, they have decided to have a tiny destination wedding in Colorado, and only their immediate family will be invited to save money. They also plan on having a casual party for all the rest of their family and friends after, but there will be no ceremony or sit-down dinner, and there will very clearly not be a second wedding. Even though I was disappointed and hurt to hear that I would not be invited to the actual wedding, I understand that it is their right to have whatever kind of wedding they want. And if it is not important to her that her best friends be there, that's her choice. But what irked me is that Jane still expects a bridal shower, a long weekend trip to an expensive destination for her bachelorette party, and mentioned a registry for wedding gifts. I find it a bit ridiculous that she still expects to have these things thrown by and presumably paid for by the people that aren't even invited to the actual wedding. She still insists on calling us her bridesmaids, but since we will not be present at the wedding and will have no special designation at the party, I don't see how we actually are. Our friends are a bit split on what to do about this. Some want to confront her about this. Some think that would be an asshole move. So would I be the asshole for telling Jane that if she's not having a traditional wedding, she can't expect traditional wedding benefits? Edit. I think a few people are misunderstanding my point here. I'm not saying I don't want to celebrate her at all or that she shouldn't get anything outside of her wedding. What's bothering me is her stated expectation of a big shower and bachelorette trip. She explicitly said she wants to go to Scottsdale. We are in Tennessee, so this requires a flight. Without an invitation to the wedding, she could throw any kind of backyard, courthouse, big, small, whatever wedding, and I would be happy to do all of the above as long as I was actually invited. Why is Scottsdale?
That is so random. You can get a really big Airbnb.
In Scottsdale?
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's so much land and there's pool. And
I guess depending on the time of year, it's like gonna be warm or something. I think what it is, maybe that she's feeling is like there's an expectation, like
Yes,
it's a lot of
that's it.
work. There's a lot of work in being a bridesmaid. I only know this from secondhand.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work to be, and then it's like, okay, but I'm part of this ceremony, I'm part of this wedding, so I'm putting in this work. It's kind of a, and so it's like, oh, but this work is still expected of me, even though the plan has now changed.
Yes.
And the problem is it started off as a wedding that she was gonna be part of and all this stuff, and then it switched, and now she's not part of it.
Yeah.
I wonder if the bride would, if this could all be kind of solved by just kind of like framing it differently.
100%.
Yeah.
I was
Of
gonna
like,
say,
hey, this isn't a bachelorette trip anymore, but can we just throw a party?
or I think, okay, there's so much politics to bride stuff and bridesmaids and weddings and bachelorettes. And I think what the problem is here, we don't know like how the bride is framing the bachelorette, but I think assuming that your friends will throw you a weekend getaway somewhere and you not like kind of leading the charge is, I think that's the disconnect, right? Like, it's like, they're like, oh, we're doing all this, and then we don't get to like do the other, like, does that make sense? Like, it's like, I understand that, but like some of the best bachelorettes are when the bride is kind of like, hey, this is what I would like to do. I have these plans.
Yeah, not when
and then you let everyone else decide like how they want to contribute.
Yeah, I think with how the bride is now going about this wedding, it sounds like that's more the vibe. Like they've pared it down a lot, and it's like with that, it's like, hey, it's not about, because I agree, you're talking about, oh, this will be a really fun thing, but the bride is still framing it in this more traditional sense as opposed to, hey guys, do we want to just go do something really fun?
Yeah.
And we all do it together as opposed to, you need to throw me a party.
Exactly.
Oh, and like throwing out a hint of like, oh, Scottsdale would be fun. It's just like, that's a lot of work of then like, okay, cool, and then you're gonna go off and
Miss
get married.
Bride, get the Airbnb. You plan the trip and tell the bridesmaids where we get to celebrate.
Exactly.
I have a feeling. I have a feeling if the bride did all of that, she wouldn't be writing this post. She'd be like, "Oh yeah, it's fine. We're doing a different thing."
No, I think she thinks. I think the only reason why she would be upset about this is if the bride put all the work on her. Does that make sense?
Or she's assuming that the bride is going to put all the work on her.
Yes, exactly.
It's sounding like that though, right?
So then,
She's assuming. I don't think she's had
understand.
this I don't think they've gotten to that point yet.
True.
But then I kind of understand it because you're like, hey, you want your cake and eat it too. Like you want to have the wedding part with us and we have to do all that work and then you get to go away. And then we're going to spend all this money and then we don't get to like then like go to a party that you also planned, because what also is like special about weddings is like the wedding sometimes is it's different for every culture and every person and every state, but like there's like sometimes it's the bride and the groom being like, come celebrate with us, right? And we love you guys, so we're gonna feed you guys and we're gonna like do this together. So kind of the bachelorette is kind of the way that the girls can give back to the bride. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like it's like I just did a bachelorette like literally a month ago, and it was so clear that like her wedding, my friend whose wedding it was, that was so much a labor of love for her and her family to put on for the family and her friends. And the bachelorette was just us being like, hey, she's got a lot of work on her plate. Let's just do a fun weekend away. And like, she picked the spot, she gave us all like but then we were like, let's fill it with things she loves so she doesn't have to plan that. So it was kind of like I scratch your back, you scratch my back, kind of, a little bit like a sacrificial giving, right?
Yeah.
And I think the only reason why this girl's probably like, this is because she's not feeling given back to. And it's just, serve me, and then I'm gonna go away and celebrate this, and you can't even join that.
I don't think she'll be the asshole for going and saying, hey, I don't think I want to go through with this now that the plan has changed.
Yeah.
I don't think she's an asshole for that. I don't think that's even the conversation now of if you're an asshole or not, as much as just like, hey, the plans have changed, so go about it now that the plans are changed. Like, do a different thing now.
Yeah.
And it's just dangerous territory heralding it.
Well, weddings are
groups for yourself.
Yeah.
But-
You
true.
being the
She needs to
messenger.
go as an individual and not
Yes.
explain it as we, because she is.
Yes.
The title is saying that we, and it's you're not speaking for we.
Do not speak for
But then
we.
also I'll say, like, now I'm hearing, I have to always go both sides here. And I'm like, it's interesting that I think if the bride is like not just dumping this on them, then I kind of respect the bride's wishes to be like, this is how I'm doing my wedding. And these girls being like, well, if we don't get to go dance on a dance floor, then that's not fun. You know what I mean? Like, because I will say a lot of girls, because the bridesmaids thing I just did, we weren't official bridesmaids. We didn't stand up there with her and we didn't like wear the same things.
I also do not like when the bridesmaids or groomsmen stand up there with them. I'm like, let me sit down.
Well, some
This
people
is
it's
not
really
about-
sweet. Some people I love it.
Let me sit the down. This is not about me. You go do your ceremony.
I know,
stand
but
up there.
sometimes people are nervous and they like their friends around them.
And I'll be
it's
right
really
in the
sweet.
front row because you saved me the front row once. We walk up and then I sit down.
The family's in the front row. But anyway,
There,
I'll say
families in the second row.
I think
chosen families in the first row.
I'm kidding. I think it gets really crazy because sometimes people take the words bridesmaids as like, I'm best friend. And then I get all these things because I am best friend, or we are the group we are your chosen people, and we are the number one people.
Yeah.
And then sometimes they want more rather than like, this wedding I was a bridesmaid at, we literally just got ready with her and did a bachelorette. Like no one knew we were that. It was just her making us feel special. I think at the end of the day, both events, the wedding and the bachelorette, are just both parties being like, I appreciate you, I love you.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough because Courtney and I went such a different route.
Yeah.
And like but I also see like it's hard for me to relate to the bride because I am someone who never would just expect people to do something like that for me, and my instinct is to think like, oh well, that's crazy, dude. She'll just have that expectation of someone. So I am on the OP's side, just in like. That's
So
crazy to
it's expectation.
expect you to do that.
Yeah.
It just
when
goes,
you're not technically part of this.
100%.
It's just expecting and not communicating. Which is,
it should be, hey, huge change of plans, so let's discuss what we want to do now in this state. The verdict was not the asshole. Comments, not the asshole. You aren't a bridesmaid, so you should not be expected to carry out bridesmaid duties. Someone else said, not the asshole. I think it would be totally fair to still want a bachelorette party if she treated it in a similar fashion to the wedding, meaning she was okay with it being small, simple, and inexpensive. If she said, hey, it's a tiny wedding, so I don't need a big, wild weekend. Let's just go out for dinner and drinks one night, okay? That would be okay, even if she wasn't inviting folks to the wedding. But to say, you can't come to the wedding, but you have to do all the things that require you to spend 100%. Time and effort and money for me still isn't acceptable. You can be small and low-key or wild and big, but you can't pick and choose and expect the guests to go along.
100%. You can also be wild and big, but communicate that and not pressure someone into that.
Exactly.
Like you, just because you have a small wedding doesn't mean you have to have a small bachelorette. You just can't expect and you can't pressure.
Totally. Lastly, someone said, not the asshole, you're 100% valid for the way you feel. Wedding traditions are so blurred that there is no right or wrong way of doing things.
Yes.
If you don't feel like spending hundreds, if not thousands, on a celebration you are not invited to, then don't. Some individuals may feel they still want to partake in the celebration, and that is great. They can do so without expecting everyone else to do the same. I would set a firm boundary with them and then don't sway after that boundary is set. If you feel like the party they are doing after is enough, simply say, I will personally only be partaking in this event, but I hope you have fun on whatever else you decide to do. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. This is just a lack of communication.
100%. It's just like communication and expectation. Like Chance knows that if I ever get married, he's gonna have to throw a 4-day-long parade that ends in a musical.
And you know what?
And I've communicated
And I relish in that opportunity, and it will be the best goddamn musical I've ever seen.
But just saying.
And when there's budget cuts and Chance has to do a one-man show version of it, where he plays all the characters.
I've been waiting for this.
But I've communicated that is my point.
Yeah.
I'm not going to expect the parade. I'm going to tell Chance with a gun to his head, do me a parade. I'm kidding.
And I'll say,
you don't have to do this.
I'm going to be like, get theatrical, go crazy.
That I want to see this.
My
I'm
wedding's
kidding.
gonna
That
be-
actually sounds like my worst nightmare.
I do.
Yeah, you just talked about hating the Bubba Gump story, and now you're like,
I know.
but now I want a parade.
I know. That was just a joke. That was a joke.
I will be
No, it's not. It
creative
was real.
directing my own wedding. It will be a show.
Okay.
It will be
I'm
a
exhausted just
show.
hearing it.
Yeah. Like, does anyone have any objections? Yeah, bitch. There's gonna be some
You're
bits.
gonna plan objections?
Oh yeah, the fuck I am.
That's
and
actually-
it's gonna be hilarious.
That's actually so funny. No, I've never heard of that before.
a comedy one.
I've just never heard of anyone planning objections as a bit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's gonna make us go like, my objection, my fat ass.
No, I will. I think I might hire actors that way no one has to. That way no one coming has to like perform. They just guess. They get to enjoy the show.
That's so funny.
Isn't that so fun?
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But what about my 4-day-long parade?
Yeah, that was cool
No,
too.
your wedding will be different. Your wedding will be different. Our wedding will be different. Why are you guys laughing?
Okay, next story. Am I the asshole for leaving during my wife's labor? Scott.
Listen, boys, if the game's tied and we're in the fourth quarter, we gotta go
Look,
watch.
man.
I don't like.
That didn't land well.
Add that to the compilation.
10 minutes of Angela giving herself the ick.
Several fans are like, clipped.
Done.
All right. My wife went into labor around 6 p.m. on Sunday. We were expecting twins. It quickly turned into a very painful process. She kept cutting off the blood pressure to my hand when she squeezed and nearly sprayed my shirt with vomit. Sounds really hard, dude.
I was
Yeah,
just about to
what?
say, my fucking God.
She's got
I'm having
your
a
hand.
really tough day.
She's got 2 humans coming out of her vag.
Her
Like,
vagina's about to
shut-
be the size of a fucking football, and your hand hurts.
Twice.
Around 3 a.m., my dad calls. I work for my dad's company, and we had a presentation for clients Monday morning that I had to get ready for. My dad heard my wife was in labor, but told me he needed me on this presentation. He said there was nothing I could do to help my wife, and delivery and seeing the baby come out was overrated, and people don't prepare you for the gore. He said he needed me to rest up and make myself presentable for the presentation. My wife's labor was progressing very slowly, and we were all certain she would need forceps or other assistance to deliver the babies. I realized that I couldn't help her here, and my dad was counting on me, so I told her I needed to leave. She started screaming at me so loudly that a few nurses rushed over to our room. I ended up doing the presentation with the clients, and things went well. I leave the office and see a text on my phone that said my wife delivered an hour ago at around 10:30 a.m. and they had to use forceps. I would have missed the meeting had I stayed, and my dad has given me everything he could possibly give me in life, so I didn't want to let him down. Am I the asshole? I had responsibilities I had to take care of, and while my wife is still screaming at me saying that she was alone when they destroyed her body, I'm the only one who works, and her mom herself said that she was emotional and overreacting. My wife even went as far as to say that her family would disown her if she was the first of them to divorce, but that she doesn't consider me her husband right now. It's a lot.
This is rich, Shane. This is rich. I'm like fuming over here.
He had a presentation, though. This guy's Don Draper.
It's just unfathomable. Like, your dad needed you? No, bitch. It sounds like your wife needed you.
But it kind of makes sense with what the dad was saying, where it's like, this is what he was raised to believe.
What could be the content of this presentation that it is so vastly important that you couldn't say, my wife is in labor, can we move it a couple of hours?
Or just, I can't make it.
Yeah.
You can go do the presentation without me.
Yeah.
There are moments in life where I'm like, and I think a lot of moments in life are really tough to figure out, right? Where you're like at a fork in the road. And then there's moments in life where you know that at the end of your life, you're gonna like flash back to it. And you're like, all right, the right decision is clear to me.
Yeah.
Like it is so clear.
Yeah.
And I need to do this.
Yeah.
And to anyone who might be like, oh, well, maybe it seems like he couldn't figure it out. It's like, well, his wife was there screaming that she absolutely wants him there. So
That's
I think
where it is. It's like
that's the answer for you.
Because I will say, like, I think my dad was late, or so in my family. Like, I do think there's a lot of, especially with COVID and
Well,
hospitals.
sometimes it strikes. Sometimes it like
Exactly.
someone's water breaks, and it's like
and
oh
people are
shit,
out of town,
you don't know.
and people try their best. Like, I will say, like the mandatory, you weren't there. I think it's the principle of like her needing help and her saying no.
It's that he was there.
And he left. And it's not just that.
That's the
and she said, please stay.
It's not, I was at work at a presentation and my phone was off and I didn't know and all this stuff.
Yeah.
There's a ton of reasons.
Yeah,
because
like during COVID, people couldn't go in there.
But he's literally there. She's squeezing his hand so hard that it's like brutal for him. And he can see the pain she's in. And his dad's going, oh, you don't want to see that gore.
My favorite part.
What?
That's the richest part because I know that fucking dad plays fucking Halo and all this fucking gun shit and blood's everywhere. But I don't want to see gore down there.
That's hilarious.
Disgusting.
That's hilarious. I think there might be a possibility that he didn't want to be there. And there's a possibility that he's not being as honest with himself, that he did not want to be there.
Or he did.
Did not want to see it.
I disagree.
And he chose the presentation so he did not have to be
So that
there.
he could go home and get a good night's sleep.
So that he...
How could you go home and sleep
Dude,
while
it's
your
gory.
wife is in labor?
It's gory, dude.
How could
her cookie look scary?
can you imagine? Can you imagine like the person you are dedicated to? Can you imagine the person you're dedicated to the rest of your life that you're supposed to love more than anyone is there on a bed screaming while doctors are doing all sorts of stuff while a human is coming out of her body, and you're like, I'm gonna go home and sleep, and you can.
Yeah. Your body
go
can.
Home, you can go home and you can sleep. I don't blame her for being like, I might divorce.
No, 100%. And I think it's also though it's giving. You know how like there are a lot of people. I feel like I see it a lot in movies, so maybe it's not real. But like a lot of people who before they have kids, they're just like a child right up until they hold this kid, and then they're like, oh my God. Because what was interesting is he said that his dad gave him everything. Meanwhile, his wife is quite literally giving him the rest of his future, like which will be so plentiful with kids and like beautiful. But he has no concept of that, and all he can see is what his dad has given him. So his dad is a bigger deal to him right now than his wife. And it's interesting because I do feel like once he realizes the riches of like having a family or whatever, I mean, maybe he's not into it, but like it does feel like he thinks the only gifts given to him were from his dad, and I just disagree.
It's just one of those times like, you know, I'm not a religious person, but your literal wedding vows are like, hey, I'm gonna stick with you in the worst of times. It's like this is quite literally the promised moment. Like you promised to be here, and you're breaking that. She's actively screaming and saying, please.
It's really sad to leave someone in physical distress.
I'm kind of blown away.
I also think that there is familial patterns in our DNA that are so inherent that we don't even look at a lot of the time. And I think he is hopping on to his dad's train. And I think, I'm not a fortune teller, but if this is a boy and he raises that boy the same way his dad raised him, the pattern is going to continue.
You're right.
Unless he does something.
It's like the pattern is there, but it's also, you know what? I'm also going to say this. There's an added layer here. I think they're stupid on a professional level. They have a presentation. They're like, this huge presentation that's really important. It's like, can you imagine if the dad the grandpa walks in there and he goes, guys, my son couldn't be here today because he's actively in the room with his wife while she's giving labor.
Boom.
And it's like, I'm about to be a grandpa. Anyways, I'm going to do my best right now to present this to you.
Yeah. Oh,
Sold.
I'm an investor. I'm sobbing my wallet's
I'm
out.
like, cash is raining down.
Yes.
Like, that's what I hate is when a story is stupid on multiple levels, where I'm like, you failed everything.
Yeah.
You had it all in the bag right there. You didn't have to sacrifice anything here.
And I will say sometimes there are professional environments. I don't
Uh,
professional environment is, but sometimes that is not a valid excuse.
If he was a heart surgeon, and in that hospital, and someone's like, "Hey, someone's heart is exploded," it's like, "Oh well, I can save that life." Okay.
Sometimes these Wall Street boys, sometimes these tech bros, the meeting is so important, and if it doesn't happen, then it won't happen. So I don't know the gravity of this.
That still goes back to if once when he's 80 years old and he's dying,
what matters?
Is he gonna think back and go, "I should have done that differently"?
Absolutely.
That's where I'm like, I know what I'm gonna regret. Maybe I'm very in tune with it, but I often in those moments I'm like, I know what I'm gonna regret later, and so I'm like,
100%.
Are there updates on what the meeting was or anything?
There are no updates.
This guy and his dad suck so badly. It's crazy.
There's no update because the verdict is asshole, right?
Like-
They're not going to update that.
100%.
They're not going to be like, update, yeah, so she hates me.
Yeah.
And we suck.
Update. There's too many women in the comments talking to me.
Also,
and I don't like
mind
this.
you, think about this.
What?
His child was born. These twins, his children were born.
Two, my lord.
And he's right. He's
Two, my lord.
his children were born. And he's writing a Reddit story asking people if he's an asshole about this presentation.
Oh my
He doesn't
God.
mention his children. This is his focus right now.
You're so fucking
That's-
right. You're so
that's
fucking
the
right.
thing. That's his focus right now.
You first
What
time
was
you're
the
a
title?
father.
Cares
What was
about?
the title called again?
The title is "Am I the asshole for leaving during my wife's labor?" But like, you're worried about whether you're an asshole or not about the decision you made. You have brand new children. You're a father.
Yeah.
And this is your focus?
There was also no remorse in that.
No.
That's why
No,
I'm like, I
the
wonder-
first paragraph is comical.
Yeah.
Oh, my favorite part is too. He's like, her mom was even saying she was being dramatic.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
actually,
Bro, come
Another woman said that she. Shut up. Shut up.
comments, you're the asshole. I realized that I couldn't help her here. Yeah, you could. You could provide a comforting, supportive presence while she's extremely scared and in pain. Instead, you abandoned her, which made everything even more stressful. And seeing the baby come out was overrated. It's not. There's a reason why people usually list the birth of their children as the most memorable moments in their lives, and you missed it. Someone else said, you're the asshole. God, you may be the biggest asshole of the week. Your wife, the woman you vowed to stand by for the rest of your life, was having what could likely be the most traumatic experience of her life, and instead of supporting her, you left her because you figured helping your dad was more important. The second you get married, your nuclear family becomes your wife and any children you have. They should become your first priority, and you've managed to abandon them all at the time when your wife needed you and missed the birth of your children. You'd be lucky if you ever get to see those kids. You need a reality check. It's unfortunate your wife doesn't want to divorce you. Hopefully she changes her mind.
What?
Someone else said, you're the asshole. There are no clients anywhere that would expect you to be at a presentation on the day of your wife's giving birth. WTF. Someone replied to that saying, if I was the client and I learned he missed the birth to sell something to me, I would try to find someone else to do the work. You're the asshole and so is your dad. The apple didn't fall far from the tree here. Absolutely.
Yeah. Also, just listening to that made me think of another thing. Like, I think some people's idea of caretaking is like, well, if I can't do anything to help her, I'm not of any help. And I think sometimes in the biggest moments, we need someone to just be there when it's painful. Like, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to you just stand there with me. Just make me not alone.
It's a peak kind of masculine thought that I can understand how a lot of dudes think it, where it's like, oh, I can't actually physically do anything.
Like, the nurse is better
Like they
than
don't
not
understand.
me.
They don't understand. Like, oh, emotionally, like
Yeah.
that's what you're doing.
Just your presence there in a time of physical anguish that's enough.
Yeah. And I understand to a degree what you were saying of like maybe he didn't want to be there, because I also understand like there's a discomfort, and I'm sure a lot of guys feel it. It can be really hard. I mean, she's in labor.
No, but
Let's
you're
acknowledge
right.
that's really
Yeah.
hard. But I think for a lot of guys, it's and probably people in general, it's hard when it's like there's moments in life where it's like I can do nothing but be here.
And see you suffer.
And I cannot actually it will actually be unhelpful to try to help in any other way.
Yeah.
All I can do is be here for you.
I think that is why
and
like,
a lot of guys
people,
I think are bad at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Because you have to just sit there and you just have to be there.
I've noticed it because I'm someone who wants to like do something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where I recognize when I'm like, oh, it's not being helpful. When I'm like, well, can I do anything? What can I do? Like,
Yeah,
oh,
you
I
cannot
need to just
control the flow
sit
of the
here.
universe. You
It's-
can just
yeah.
sit there as it passes by.
Sometimes caretaking isn't like actionable. And I think like my friend right now is going through a breakup and it's so hard for me to not do anything. I'm like, let's go somewhere. Let's do this. Let's do this.
Yeah.
And sometimes like being a good like friend and partner is just like being there.
What I'm really bad at is moments where I'm like, oh, I shouldn't give advice.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say anything. I need to just be like,
Just like,
that sucks.
let's watch TV.
One thing I'm working on is I'm about to do the thing that I'm saying I'm not doing. Instead of giving advice, I'll share a personal story of how I experienced something like that.
Yeah.
So that they can find some
relate.
I relate in some way.
Yeah.
But I was reading online, that's not always helpful, and then they're like,
Online.
And sometimes truly nothing is the best.
at least I
And
read,
it's-
bitch.
Damn.
You want to shoot daggers?
No, it just took you a while to get there and it was fun.
Holy shit, bro.
Now you know how I feel every day.
Oh my God.
Today's Reddit Stories is brought to you by Factor. It's a busy time of the year, and powering through those busy days can be easier and healthier thanks to Factor. They've got options for everyone, from guilt-free comfort foods like home-style chicken and gravy and loaded mashed potato pork chops to feel-good vegan options like sweet potato and chickpea curry. They've got something for everyone. And also, on top of all that, Factor is cheaper than takeout and dining out. So you can save all your money for holiday shopping and your financial goals. I've had Factor delivered here to the Smosh office, and I was amazed at how delicious it was, how easy it was. I felt so good. I felt fueled for the rest of the day. So if you're interested, head to factormeals.com/pitreddit50 and use code pitreddit50 to get 50% off your first box and 20% off your next month. That's code pitreddit50 at factormeals.com/pitreddit50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. Back to the show. Our next story comes from the subreddit of Two Hot Takes.
Okay.
Shout out to Morgan. The subreddit always has like some of the best stories. Am I the asshole for not getting the same dress as the other bridesmaids for my sister's wedding?
Okay. It
I like
depends.
this.
If
I like
everyone
this.
else is in the same dress, you're the asshole.
I like this. I, Daisy, 22 woman, am the maid of honor to my sister's, this is Tori, 25 woman, wedding for January 2025. Our whole family is beyond excited about the wedding. I am so happy that Tori finally found her dream man, Jack, 26. Tori has not had good love experiences throughout the years and had bad relationships that did not end well. I am really grateful that Jack is in her life because he gets along very well with me and the rest of my family. Tori is my sister, and I love her, but as siblings, we have our good days and bad days. So here goes the whole story. I was beyond happy when my sister Tori chose me as her maid of honor. I, of course, accepted right away and started looking for dress options. The problem is the style/design of the dress, not the color. I actually love the color Tori chose. It is a beautiful lavender color. For months, I looked at different websites for my dress, and there were pretty good options, but none convinced me. About 3 months ago, we found a website/app that sells designer dresses for special occasions like prom, weddings, and cocktail parties for a fair price. The dresses on this app are beautiful and nicer than the previous ones I saw on the other sites. I right away searched for maid of honor dresses in lavender, and there were so many options. I scrolled and scrolled for a long time until I found 3 nice dresses that were possible options for the wedding. I scrolled once again and found this dress with an A-line of the shoulder with a low back design. As soon as I saw the dress, I said, this definitely is my dress. I showed the dress to my mom, and she agreed with me. I sent Tori the pictures of the other 3 dresses and the one I chose, which was the last picture I sent. Tori told me that she liked the dress I chose better than the other 3 I sent her first. Also, she told me to wait a little more to get the dress. Since there was still time for the wedding, I ended up waiting. So there is my proof. 3 weeks ago, Tori texted me and asked me what dress I chose for the wedding. I again sent her the picture of the dress I chose. She said, yeah, so we are not going with that dress. I want to stick to the same dress for all the bridesmaids. I was in shock because she didn't let me know sooner. Tori sent me a picture of the dress she chose for the bridesmaids, and it is an infinity dress. The infinity dress can be styled in many different ways in the upper body area, but has no other designs and looks very plain. The only reason why Tori chose that dress is because one of the bridesmaids did not like any other options of dresses except the infinity dress. Tori even sent a picture of my dress, the one I chose, but she did not like it at all. The other bridesmaids will just go along with what my sister Tori says, and there is no issue with them whatsoever. I had a huge fight with Tori over this because I told her, I get it is your wedding, but as the maid of honor, my dress has to be the same color, but the same style/design as the other bridesmaids, and I don't like the other dress. Tori answered, I don't like it that way, and like you said, it is my wedding. I once again told her, I don't like the dress you chose, and I am sorry, but I am going to wear it. Tori told me, well, it is either that dress or you can stay home and not go to my wedding. Right after her answer, Tori walked out the door extremely mad. Since our fight, we have seen each other, but we barely speak. My 2 brothers, mom and dad, have taken my side. They say that Tori is overreacting and cares more about that one bridesmaid's opinion than mine. Also, they say that Tori has not had any consideration for me as her maid of honor because not once did she ask for my opinion and help to choose the bridesmaid dresses. My parents and my brothers still cannot believe Tori and I had a fight over this situation. My mom told me, oh my God, so Tori decides not to take your side as her sister, but prefers to take Jack's mom, Tori's future mother-in-law, her side, and is going to let her wear the dress of her liking. Side note, in the early preparations of the wedding, Tori and Jack decided that the mothers were going to wear the same colored dress. My mom and Jack's mom both agreed to wear the same colored dress for the wedding. Jack's mom went back on her word and decided not to wear the same colored dress as my mom. So, am I the asshole?
There's a discrepancy where they said that she wasn't even consulted on the dress, on what her opinion of the dress was, but she was consulted. She sent pictures of 3 dresses and the one that she chose, and the sister said, yeah, I like that one too. So she was consulted.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like. Ultimately, when it came down to it, and she goes, this is the dress that we're doing.
Yeah.
And then she says to the bride's face, well, I'm doing this other dress.
That's not how that works.
Yeah.
That's not.
And then the bride goes, well, you're doing what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Or you're not going to go. I mean, it's like, what are you going to do at that point?
It is also like, it should have been like, okay, can we choose this dress over the infinity dress? Like, why is her opinion more valid than mine? Like,
yeah, if she wants to bring that up to the bride instead, but even still, it's like the bride is making a decision. Yeah. And what kind of frustrates me is she's bringing up this, how the mother-in-law kind of went back on her word, and it's like, well, the mother-in-law got to do what she wanted, so why don't I? It's like, no, there's proof that someone else has already pressured her.
Yeah.
And pissed her off, probably.
Yeah.
And now you're going to add to that and also be selfish?
Yeah.
And that's why that part's in the story.
Also, not your wedding.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, I don't know. It's unless there's a really good reason.
But it is your body.
But you did send all those dresses. You kind of sent those dresses being like, these all work. You had a favorite, but you sent all those dresses.
True.
One of them got picked.
When you said this, I was like, oh, I really hope this dress is like for a comfort, like a body comfort thing, or just like a personal, this is my body and I'm not comfortable in that. But then when I heard it just had an open back and I liked that, I was like, okay, well, buy that for another party.
Yeah. There's plenty of...
I was like, oh, that's the reason why you're putting your foot down, is because you look great in the open back?
Also, the price of this relationship, the price of the wedding is now what you look like in a dress? That doesn't seem worth it to me.
Yeah, there's plenty of... I think there would be plenty of reasons where I'd be like, okay, if for whatever reason maybe the dress was too revealing and she's like, I don't feel comfortable.
There's so many things.
Yeah, there's plenty of reasons where I'd be like, I don't feel comfortable in this. But that's not the angle.
Exactly. That's what I was hoping this was, because I was like, oh, that would be a more like nuanced conversation. But if this girl just wants to wear this because she likes this one more, I hate to break it to you. I hope your social life is bigger than this, and I hope you could just buy that dress for another thing, because this isn't your only time. Like, also those infinity dresses, like I was a bridesmaid and we all had those infinity dresses, and it was because there were so many different ages, body types, there were pregnant bridesmaids, there are so many. It's really terrifying when you have someone say you have to wear this, right? And it's not it's hard to like fully be like, my body is yours to put whatever you want on, right? So it's already a vulnerable spot. So that's why I was like kind of fighting for this girl for a second. But now I'm like, this isn't your wedding.
There's also this sense of, I get it, it's your wedding. But what I will also say is you're trying to control other people. Like, you're telling them that they're in their wedding, but you're trying to control what other people are putting on their bodies, how they're being presented. And that doesn't, like, that traditional wedding vibe, I don't fuck with that.
That's fair.
I get that they're gonna be standing up there. They're not dolls. Like, they are real people with real emotions that you love and care about, and you should be able to have an open, honest communication, and they should be able to wear what they wanna wear at your wedding.
Right, but, and there's many such situations where I agree with that. This is a situation where this OP sent 4 options saying, these all work for me.
Yeah.
One was picked, and then they're going, nah.
Yeah.
I want the other one because I like it.
Exactly.
It's like, no, that's the problem. I agree if it's like, hey,
deep.
you're all wearing, here's the dress that I'm picking that you guys haven't seen, and going, I can't wear that.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. I agree with that. And there's probably a lot of situations.
Yeah, you sent this as a suitable option.
Yeah.
You have to deal with the consequences.
There's a
now
million
of sending
varieties
this
of-
as an option that I might pick.
But, and look, you are allowed to go, then I'm not going to the wedding. You're allowed to do that.
I'm also thinking, like, as the bride, like Like what? It sounds like this bride, like with the moms being in the same color. It seems like she's like wants a picture. Like this is for like pictures, and like she wants it to like be a color scheme for the picture. Yeah. I would even be like, wear this for the fucking picture in the ceremony. You can get into whatever the fuck you want after. But like at the end of the day, they're wearing something uniformed because I think of the ceremony and the pictures. Like I don't think it really matters, but it depends on each person.
I think if this was the angle, if it was a truly discomfort angle, then I think the answer is she needs to talk to the bride.
She just likes
that.
the open back.
But this isn't sounding like that. This is something that's come from a different place. It's hard for me to personally relate to because, you know, I never did the like traditional stuff and that never mattered to me. And it sounds strange to me, but I know how important it is to people.
Yeah.
I think what weddings really come down to is it's a time to show respect to these two people.
Yeah.
And it's just, I think OP is an asshole for reasons outside of even the, like what happened in the story. The first comment sums it up pretty well. And I didn't think about it until now. Someone said, your first paragraph, by the way, the verdict was asshole, which I think is fair.
Yeah. she's the asshole.
Your first paragraph of completely unnecessary info. She has a history of bad love relationships at the ripe old age of 25. Show both your immaturity and the way you look down on your sister. Your job as maid of honor is to show up, support the bride, and make her life easier in any way you can. You are failing spectacularly.
I love that.
Either shut up and wear the dress she wants or step down because it's not about you. Maybe for the first time in your life, based on your family's reaction, which is ridiculous too, you're the asshole. Yeah, I do feel bad that the family is all siding with her.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
It's so stupid.
This sounds like a interesting family dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone said, you sound incredibly self-righteous and entitled. You're the asshole, massively so. You can choose dresses when you are getting married. For someone else's wedding, you wear what they choose. Your family being on your side is absurd. Are they scared of you or something? I feel incredibly sorry for your sister. She should be all excited and happy about her upcoming wedding and not have her life made difficult by an entitled little sister and favorite playing parents. I can just imagine the bridezilla you are going to be at your own wedding when bridesmaids refuse to wear what you choose for them. Again, you're the asshole.
It's just like team players. It's like ensemble stuff where you're like, my God, if I was picky about the shit I had to wear in this building, I'm like, that potato costume for the Spud Hut video for members only doesn't show my back enough. I'm like, you have no fucking clue.
Yeah.
When you work with you just gotta be a yes person sometimes when you're working on a team.
Right.
Sorry, I got deep there.
That's okay. I did put you in.
I do agree, though. I do agree, though. There's situations in life where it's like, hey, man, like, if you're tasked, you're in this situation, like, you're trying to make their time easier.
Yeah.
It's stressful for them. It's not about you.
Yeah. When any sacrifice of any kind is such a toll on someone, it's a red flag.
But I also understand, and this is not this situation, but I also understand, like, it is an interesting thing to be like, you get to choose what someone wears. I'm like,
it's so scary.
That sounds weird.
No, it's
and that
so
is a
hard.
weird tradition.
It is weird.
And I think being the bride or groom, you would be mindful. And all of the weddings I know, they were mindful of
Yes,
that.
you have
and
to
it
be.
sounds like to a degree, though, this dress that was picked, I don't know much about infinity dresses. It sounds like it was picked in what you were saying, where it's like, this is going to be comfortable for.
There's like so many options.
I know, but like the idea is the idea is that nobody's going to be uncomfortable.
I just think it's an antiquated idea. You just choose a color and you just make sure everyone is in so close.
I really think unless it's like a discomfort from like a real intense like
100%.
Aspect of your being, then it's like, okay.
That's why I was like picking up my battle shield ready to fight for this person.
Yeah.
And then I went, oh.
Yeah.
Because plenty of people have, very extreme discomforts with their own body,
Yeah.
and I understand that. But unless it's coming from there, if you're able to just be like, okay.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, because it's this, and maybe I'm misinterpreting it. It sounds like this is coming from a place of like, well, I want to look f***ing hot.
Yeah, that is.
It's like, no, I'm sorry,
like
that's not what this is about.
Yeah, no.
Here.
I hate when people tell me what to wear to the wedding. And sometimes I went to like 6 weddings one year, and I had like exotic looks, but I would always like ask the bride and groom before but one groom was like, you can't wear that. And I was like, it wasn't anything crazy, but he was like, my family's a little more conservative. And I was like, that's not even a good reason. I wasn't even in the wedding party. I just wanted to share that.
That's okay.
And I looked so hot. It was such a good suit.
My parents once showed up to a wedding where everyone was asked to wear all white. My parents wore black, and they didn't read the invitation. It's the funniest picture.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
And I was like, it was mortifying.
Next story. Am I the asshole for refusing to attend my mom's Renaissance Fair themed birthday party?
Hilarious.
I don't believe in the Renaissance. I'm sorry, Mom, I don't believe in that. Da Vinci didn't exist.
Yeah.
My mom recently turned 50 and my family has been experiencing some tension. I'm currently planning a wedding and my mom has been nothing but cold and standoffish with my bride-to-be. I have addressed her behavior multiple times and the answer is always, well, she isn't my fiance. Well, I'm shy. Well, you picked her, not me. Damn.
Well, I'm shy.
I finally blew up and we had a long heart-to-heart and she confirmed my fears that she doesn't like my fiance much and finds her annoying and vapid. I told her if she ever acted on those feelings, she would be disinvited from the wedding. My fiance recently had a bridal shower / bachelorette weekend at Disney as she is a huge Disney person. Growing up, we rarely went to Disney as my stepdad and I preferred Universal.
Whoa.
That's so funny.
A house divided.
That's so funny that's the reason. I never knew my mom had opinions regarding Disney, and it got back to me that she was making fun of the bridal shower, calling it things like lame and embarrassing. When I confronted her, she expressed her concerns. She felt it was self-indulgent that she was having so many pre-wedding events, and she was salty about being given a matching shirt to wear. Apparently, she didn't want to be in the bride squad. She tried to brush this off by saying Disney was childish and themes are lame. I ended up skipping my mom's birthday trip to Italy due to other commitments. To be fair, she was cool with this. I planned on taking her to dinner sometime, since 50 is a big deal, but I received an invitation to a surprise party on the day of her actual birthday and decided to attend. When I got there, it was full Ren Fair themed. Costumes, games, food, performers. It was like her own personal fair. Now, I don't think people would suspect this because she gives off too cool vibes, but my mom loves Renaissance fairs. It started as a joke with her and a friend that it is an excuse to dress slutty, but that was years ago, and now they are her thing. To be honest, it was an amazing party, probably one of the sickest parties I've seen, but I immediately felt pissed. How the hell is Ren Fair less cringy, childish, or embarrassing than Disney? And why isn't it excessive that my mom had a trip abroad plus this party? I just could not stop thinking, fucking hypocrite. My mom walked in and was surprised. Then she went to change and I couldn't take it anymore. I told my aunt that I was leaving and that if my mom wanted me, she could call and personally apologize to my fiance. My aunt called me a prick, so I left with my fiance and guess who never called? Now my family is saying I'm an ass for missing both of her celebrations when 50 is a huge deal. Also, apparently they are mad because they feel my fiance used the party to get Insta likes. But like, what? She didn't know we would be leaving early.
I will say the things we hate in other people are most often the things we hate in ourselves.
I think you're an asshole for shaming someone or judging someone for their interests. Like, you know, it's just like she likes Disney. Like,
Their interests, but she's like, she does too many pre-parties. Bitch, you're going to Italy and you had a full Renaissance fair.
That's so true.
You're putting
They
it
are-
on her. You don't like
That's
what
so
you're doing.
They are the same.
And you're saying she's crazy.
And you think
no,
Bride Squad-
she's upstaging you and you're scared. A new Supreme
You're
is
scared.
coming and you feel your power draining.
She likes Universal instead of Disneyland?
that line kills me. Like, yeah, she likes Disney, but we're more of a Minions family.
We were. They wanted to go on Space Mountain, and we said, let's do the Simpsons ride.
We're gonna do the Mummy instead.
Yeah.
And I love Universal, and I'm not going to make fun of anyone who loves it. But also, that's fucking crazy.
I don't like Universal.
I like it, but I don't. But I mean, like, it's like.
I don't like Universal. Okay, we live in California.
Yeah.
Also,
I don't like Universal because the ride you ride the most is the escalator.
Yeah.
This
And
mom's
I can't do it.
But with the right people, it feels like a ride.
This just sounds petty as hell.
Yeah.
All of this. This is definitely a petty story. The verdict was asshole,
Oh.
but
Asshole that he left the party.
that he left the party. All the comments are. We have 3 comments here, and they're all different takes.
Okay.
Okay, I'm excited because I wouldn't have left the party.
I do think the mom. He might be the asshole, but the mom is an asshole.
Yeah, I would say at the party.
going
and
around
farted the whole
like talking shit on her for liking Disney. I mean, yeah, the mom sounds like an asshole based on all the comments, all the
Yes.
quotes in this. The mom is an asshole. But is he an asshole for leaving this party or not? The top comment, or not the top, one of the comments, You're the asshole. You want your mom to be more accepting of your fiance. You bailed on her 50th birthday twice. Probably not a good way to go about it. Also, the second party was a surprise, so it's not like it was planned like the bridal shower thing. And while your mom thought the event was silly, she still participated. You stood her up intentionally and then demanded an apology.
Okay, I kind of understand that too. Like, I would have stayed at the party because I would have been like, here's what I wish you would do for my wife, is stay here and wear the bride squad shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
I'm showing up for you the way you didn't show up for
Yeah,
me.
and that's the best way is to like.
That is the best way.
There's situations in life where it's like, okay, this is an opportunity to either make things a little easier for us going forward, or I can get vengeance.
Exactly.
And catharsis.
Yeah.
But things are gonna be worse.
But I also validate the fact that like sometimes when you're feeling so shitty from someone's actions, you don't want to be at that party. Like, I get it. Like,
Totally. Other comment, everyone sucks here. Ignore all the Disney haters, it's not my thing, but to each their own. Your mom shouldn't be making fun of your fiance. She is overstepping, and good for you for shutting that down and being a supportive partner. That being said, you should not have caused a scene and stormed off from the party. That should have been a private conversation later, and you should have just stayed for a little bit and then dipped. Lastly, someone said, not the asshole. Your mom hid the fact that she didn't like your fiance while avoiding wedding planning. Call me crazy, but that's unusual. Even if she's not the biggest fan of your fiance, she should still respect the relationship. Publicly ridiculing someone by calling them childish or lame because they enjoy a fantasy world while having someone throw you a surprise party themed around a fantasy world is hypocritical. You stood up for your fiance and set boundaries before things got out of hand. The only way you could be the asshole is if you're leaving out something that your fiance did. Otherwise, your mom definitely owes both of you an apology. Renaissance isn't necessarily a fantasy, you know. Renaissance was a period of time in history.
Speak on it.
But they often, Renaissance fairs include fantasy elements, like fairies and dragons and shit,
sick.
just so you guys know.
Thank you.
Awesome.
But Ren Fair usually involves me getting just so black. That's what Ren Fair is for, let's be real.
Absolutely.
I've never seen people drunker than at the Renaissance Fair.
So is Bride Squad. Bride Squad.
Bride Squad. These stories I enjoy because we're talking about petty stuff. We're talking about some bullshit, people saying mean things
And
to each other
revenge.
and doing stuff. We've got a bunch of different angles of this. I don't necessarily think, I can't necessarily disagree with any of them. So sound off in the comments what your thoughts are on this.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
Universal heads, rise up.
Universal heads. Let's get a comment for Universal and a comment for Disney and see who wins.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Disney's gonna
Disney's gonna win.
decimate.
Our final story. Am I the asshole for teasing my friend about not recognizing my kid, thus ruining her marriage and an unrelated engagement party?
Feels like it has 3 acts.
Yeah,
So there's a domino effect.
Yeah, okay.
that's right.
So me and my wife have a 5-year-old son. Our group of friends is mostly couples with kids as we are nearing our 40s, and so a lot of our meetings with friends now include meeting up as entire families, kids included. This can sometimes mean a lot of adults and a lot of kids. One person in this group, Emma, fake name, used to be my roommate in college. She was married and has her own kids, and we hang out with her and her husband sometimes in a group setting, but rarely on our own. Emma also tends to run late often. This is all relevant to the story. As our son is an only child, we sometimes worry that he wouldn't really learn to share or get along with other kids. To prevent this, and while I love spending time with him, I would sometimes preemptively nudge him to engage with other kids when we are in public playgrounds or at the beach or the pool. To that end, when I buy him a water pistol or an RC car or the like, I'd often just buy 2 or 3. I'd get to the playground and play with him, and when another kid would show interest in the toys, I'd just go, "Oh, you want to play with us?" and hand him the remote or the pistol or whatever, thus getting the kids to play. This works great quite often, and I have a generally good relationship with the parents in our neighborhood. This is also relevant. One day, like a year back, me and my wife were planning on taking our kid to the pool. I pack my large bag of pool toys. Emma texts me. Her husband is away that day and she's looking for something to do with the kids. I talk to my wife and tell Emma we're going to our local pool and she's welcome to join us. But we're planning on heading there early so she can just join us whenever. We arrive at the pool pretty early and get a really good spot poolside, right by the shallows. I grab some water pistols and me and my kids start playing world domination. I am trying to take over the world and can only be stopped through the power of water pistols. It's a whole thing, kids love it. Soon, another kid is there. It's a kid from my son's kindergarten class. He's there with his mom. He is, of course, welcome to join us. We know the family. The mom and my wife are pretty friendly, and our kids play together often. So my wife says she wants to go for a swim, and the kid's mom says she wants to join her and asks me if I'm okay watching the kids. I say sure, since by this point the kids are blasting each other with water pistols and I'm just chilling poolside, just occasionally having to call out, "Oh no, my plans for world domination, ruined," because sometimes that's just what parenting is. Then Emma and her kids show up. She is really happy to see me, and I give out toys to her kids. All is going well. Then my son's friend runs up and asks for some other toy, and I go, "Sure thing," and hand it to him. Emma goes, "Oh my God, so cute. He looks just like you." I laugh and say, "Okay, cool, but this isn't my kid." Now, in her defense, the kid does look kind of like me, making this kind of hilarious. When my wife and the kid's mom come back, I tell them this story. They also find it hilarious. We all have a friendly chuckle, but think little of it. Fast forward to a few months ago.
Oh no, girl, give it up. Grow up, move on.
I haven't seen Emma in a while. We were at a friends group gathering, and it was a good time all around. When we're about to call it a day, me and Emma are at the entrance. She's grabbing her stuff, and I'm on my second trip from the car. Kids' toys, kids' clothes, dirty dishes, Tupperware with leftovers I want, etc. And I call out to Emma's husband. "Hey, can you call my wife and kid over? Just make sure it's actually my kid and not some random kid who kind of looks like me." I think it's a hilarious callback. He seems confused and kind of angry. He asks what the hell I'm talking about. Why would he call a random kid? I'm also confused, so I tell him the pool story. He doesn't laugh. Emma doesn't laugh either. The entire thing now feels kind of awkward. I awkwardly say goodbye, go grab my wife and kid myself, and we leave. Later that day, I text Emma to ask if everything is all right. I get no reply. I text her again a few days later. No reply. I get the distinct sense I fucked up, but also if she doesn't want to talk to me, I'm not going to force the issue. I leave well enough alone. At worst, I thought she was mad at a joke I made, which was apparently in poor taste. Boy, howdy, did I underestimate the fallout of this joke. A few days ago...
Act 3, Act 3, Act 3!
This goes through time. A few days ago, I arrived at a friend's place and Emma was there. This is an engagement party, so no kids. I wasn't supposed to come, but decided at the last minute, and my wife was at home with our kid. Emma sees me and is livid. She wasn't expecting to. She only came because she thought I wouldn't be there. She does, however, take the opportunity to tear me a new one, though. She calls me out in front of everyone because of my joke. Originally said with air quotes. Her husband was furious. From what she said and what I gathered from mutual friends afterwards, she previously commented on someone else's kid looking like someone who wasn't his father. Except that whole thing led to a family drama in Emma's husband's family, because in that case, that dude was cheating and that was his kid, and a whole bunch of people were really hurt in the aftermath. Emma's husband was furious because he apparently thought she would know better than to comment on kids looking like people again.
Yup, absolutely. Absolutely. Learn your fucking lesson. Patterns, Shane, patterns.
Oh my God.
You either break free or you keep doing the same thing.
I was like, no way this is gonna like get good. And it got good.
It got good, it got good.
This is my wife, Larry David. This sent them down a spiral, especially because the husband apparently thought she told me that other family story and that I was mocking him for his family drama, and he thought the story I told was just covering for her when I realized I fucked up. This was not the case. I had no idea that whole thing happened. Still, he didn't believe Emma when she told him. So they are now separated. She calls me an asshole and says I ruined her marriage. I am not a confrontational person. I apologize profusely. I say I didn't know, and if she didn't want me telling the story, she should have said something. She tells me I'm making excuses. This is now a scene. I apologize profusely again and leave quickly after telling the couple a quick congratulations. I am later told this was anything anyone could talk about at the party, and now the engaged couple are mad at me too. Emma is even more mad because now everyone knows her drama. I am unfriended and unfollowed on everything. Some friends think I couldn't have known better and the joke was pretty benign. Other friends say it was in really poor taste to throw her under the bus, and I am totally the asshole. Emma's best friend, who I also know from college, thinks I did know about the whole thing with her husband, and now I'm just covering my own ass to get away with being cruel. It has been a few days, and some of my friends will no longer talk to me. Others think she is wrong to blame me and that marriage was doomed anyway. Still, I feel really guilty about making the joke, and I obviously wouldn't have made it had I known the trouble it would cause. I like Emma, and I didn't want to hurt her. I also liked her husband. I'd like to say that maybe he was wrong to let the marriage implode like that because of a stupid joke, but at the same time, I don't really exactly know his family drama and their history, nor the specifics of his relationship with Emma, so I can't really say he's wrong for overreacting. The entire thing just kind of sucks. My wife sort of got my back, though. She thinks the joke was hilarious and actually thinks breaking up their marriage makes it even funnier because WTF. She also loves crazy Reddit stories, so she sent me to post this. So at least I got that going for me, which is nice. So, am I the asshole?
No.
No, this is hilarious, man.
And it's also like, Emma, wake the f up. She is not the reason that your marriage is falling apart. Your marriage was already falling apart.
If you are separating because someone goes, oh yeah, your wife said this kid looked like me. It's like, then your marriage
Something's under the hood.
was so close to breaking.
Yeah. Yeah, OP isn't an asshole. He just has a story to tell.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
The chances.
crazy.
I mean, it happens to people where you don't realize you're saying a
Yes.
thing that has so much context. That
I
you're
love
unaware
it.
of.
It's like a spell out of nowhere.
It's absolutely a Seinfeld episode. This is a Seinfeld
It's
episode.
perfect.
This is a George Costanza
You are
moment.
so right. This is so Larry David coded.
That absolutely is what it is. Where it's like you just didn't know you absolutely collapsed
It's
the building.
exactly what they needed to hear. It is exactly what was supposed to happen.
God.
It's so wild. But like, God, I would have spiraled too. I would have been like, I must have. How did I? It's hard when you were the inciting incident, but
Yeah.
you weren't. You
weren't the inciting incident.
I mean, kind of was.
No, that thing was ready to tip.
Yeah, it was ready to tip, but it just needed that one little push.
Yeah.
Am
That
I
one little-
also going back a lot? The husband is mad at his wife because she said, "Oh, that kid looks like you." And it actually was his kid, and he was cheating. It's like, that's not her fault. That guy cheated. What the fuck are we doing here?
We were
There's a lot of stuff going on that I
Also,
think we need to dial it
He
back.
already told you stop doing that. He said you have a problem. You stop doing that.
Okay, I don't think she said this kid looks like you. I think she goes, "Oh, like
He looks like you.
oh, she did say that."
He looks like you. Yeah. Well, you just
But you know,
started
like
off.
when you f up and you're like, don't say this, don't say this, don't say this, and you say it. I don't know. This is crazy. Also, we were really at the pool for so long.
We needed to
I
be
was
at
like,
the pool
something's at the pool.
because we needed to be at the pool because we needed to know why she's making this joke again.
I was like, we're playing world domination.
We didn't need to know about world domination.
We
When
didn't need to
does-
know about
There
world
was- there
I'm
was a
thinking
lot
about
of-
all the
we didn't
toys.
know-
I'm like, how many toys
honestly,
does he have?
didn't need to know a goddamn thing about your son.
There was a lot of superfluous
Didn't need one of that.
exposition.
He
We
didn't show up
need it.
again.
I was like, so he's sitting on the edge of the pool, and the kids are in the pool, and the wives are taking.
Why are you bringing toys? He's homeschooled. I don't care. So what? Get to the story.
All right, we're gonna dial it back. It's 1992. I'm in college.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, comments. Verdict, not the asshole.
Yeah.
Comments, what a clusterfuck. You didn't throw her under the bus, and you're not responsible for her marital problems. Emma should take responsibility for her own actions and fuck-ups. She also created drama at the engagement party, and the couple should be furious at her, not you, not the asshole. Someone said, not the asshole, you knew nothing about Emma's issues with her husband's family. Emma should not have made a scene at the engagement party. She was at fault here. She was at fault there. You should have told the happy couple to take it up with Emma. Emma and the happy couple are assholes for looking to blame their issues on you. Update! Oh my God.
Wait, really?
Well,
Did they go back to the pool?
this guy loves exposition, so I think we're about to get more.
Oh my
I
God.
hope we go back to the pool.
We had to abbreviate this for time, and I'm looking at it, and it's 100 Years of Solitude.
Oh my
okay? Literature joke.
Boo. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to boo you.
Update. So after posting yesterday, reading replies and thinking it over, I decided to reach out to Emma one final time. Some of you thought I shouldn't and that these were, in fact, not my monkeys. Others made me realize that Emma was probably in a shitty situation with her husband and his family and was actively being gaslit. So last night, before going to bed, I texted her a long, thoughtful message. I explained that I do apologize for the part I played in ruining her marriage, and I understand she is going through a tough time. I understand if she wants nothing more to do with me, but if and when she feels she wants to talk it out, she is welcome to reach out, and I leave the ball in her court. Emma shows up at my house at around 7 a.m. unannounced. I ask, what the fuck? She says she really needs to talk to me. I call my wife to the door and explain this. She sends me off with this woman because she understands this shit can only go poorly, and apparently she is here for it, and it's my own fault at this point. So as I said, from my perspective, we were friends, we drifted apart. From her perspective...
Is Emma in love with him?
Also, wait, it's a man?
I don't know
what?
anything.
Opie's a man.
Okay.
And we're at the pool.
Yeah. Opie's a man. So, okay. So as I said, from my perspective, we were friends, we drifted apart. From Emma's perspective, for the last 15 years, she has been playing some weird game of 4D chess, or 2 different games of 4D chess.
Or
apparently,
a game of world domination.
Apparently, she had feelings for me back in college, and she was trying to nice girl her way into a relationship with me by being there for me when my dad died and when I was struggling with being single. She always gave everything because she just assumed I would at some point come around. You'd think that me getting married or her getting married would change that, and it did, just badly. Apparently, her husband knew about her feelings, which is why he always kept me at a distance. We never drifted apart. He explicitly asked her not to meet with me anymore outside of large social gatherings. That day at the pool, yeah, that was her sticking it to him because he was away cheating on her or something, and he didn't like her hanging around me scantily clad. It wasn't just that he was upset at the joke. He was upset because apparently I was having an affair with his wife and rubbing it in his face.
Ow!
Makes no sense? I know. It gets worse. That thing at the wedding. Well, at least she didn't plan that. I told our friends getting engaged that I wasn't coming. She asked and verified this. She wasn't expecting to see me, and they told her I wouldn't be there. But once I showed up, she decided to exploit it. She intended to have a huge scene with me so that she could tell her estranged husband and friends that I ambushed her because she broke off our affair. Our affair. Apparently, we had an affair. Oh, what affair is that, you ask? I did too. Apparently, the story some people got was that she and I were having an affair, and it ended, and I was stalking her. Her husband left her because he found out. So people more inclined to believe her just thought that was what happened and wanted nothing to do with me anymore. So why did her husband actually leave? Well, some of you called it. According to her, he was cheating on her a bunch and overall not a nice person. She never actually cheated on him, but used me to pretend that she did without my knowledge. So after the joke at the gathering, which may have indeed been in poor taste, they had a huge fight and he left the house. As for the thing with his family, from what I gather, it was some dude sleeping with his cousin's wife or some shit. It's like, okay, so there's that story anyways. So anyway, she tells me all this insanity and tops it off with that my message really moved her and we can still be friends. The reason she rushed to show up at 7 a.m., my message made her realize I am actually the only one who really cares about her and everyone else in her life is fake and don't really care. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but now this sounds like some really manipulative shit to me, and now I'm thinking back to a lot of our previous interactions, and a lot of them also seem like that to me now. I am not a confrontational person, but this? Fuck no. I was done. I tell her I am done with her shit. She can get back to her husband, leave her husband, keep any friends she wants because I am fucking done. I can forgive a lot, but she had basically been not communicating with me for over 15 years. I was telling her everything about my life and my feelings, and I was absolutely appalled by just how much of a one-way street it turned out to be. I feel like I didn't even really know her. So that's that. There will probably not be any more updates because this was meant to be a lighthearted post and it turned into a total clusterfuck, and I'm just so tired and so sad. I'm sorry if this wasn't as readable or as coherent as my previous post. This just happened and I am just exhausted. My wife has been very supportive, though I assume at some point I'm due some well-earned I told you so's. She knows there wasn't an affair and certainly no stalking, and most of my friends probably know that too. I may try reaching out to some others because, well, I don't know. Maybe they were told even worse things about me, but I am just done with this. And now I'm going to spend what's left of this weekend with my family and try to put this shit behind me. Thank you all for reading and for your advice.
Wow.
This is like an update for all updates.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible.
Oh my God.
Emma has lost it.
A ton of layers.
Yeah.
Wow.
Emma needs to get.
Thank God he said that. It unveiled a whole conspiracy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's
I
a
know
lot
if
going
that
on.
never happened.
Yeah.
He'd have never known that he was stalking her.
Or that he was having an affair.
That he was like, hey man, you're having an affair and you didn't know it.
Wow.
That was crazy. I'm like speechless. I'm like, wow. Meanwhile, his wife is like, put it on Reddit. This is crazy. Put it on Reddit. This is
Put
crazy.
it on Reddit. Yeah, put it on Reddit.
She's like, this is wild. Oh my God.
But is that kid at the pool his son?
Who's to say?
Maybe.
That's crazy. I feel for him, but he's doing everything he needs to do. He's just writing it out. And he's talking to
Good
his.
Put it out
communicator.
into the univerce.
Yeah.
Make it real.
Yeah. Doing some bits here and there.
I feel
Yeah.
really bad
World
for that
domination.
girl. I feel really bad for her.
Who?
I want to feel bad for her. I feel bad for her for being cheated on, but you don't go telling all these lies and building a whole conspiracy.
No.
She's a liar and yeah, but I feel
You can't do that.
I feel bad that she's just like so not based in reality right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's like when people I remember just like when people so overthink things or add meaning to something and that nothing was there. Nothing happened. That was just shared eye contact and a shared joke or whatever. That doesn't mean you guys are in love. Oh.
Anyways, well, thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having us. This was a very
This was a
good
ride.
group.
Yeah, these were some good stories.
This was a great group.
Thank you for watching. Let us know what other themes and subreddits you want to see here, and let us know your opinions on these stories because there's a lot to interpret here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be mulling these ones over.
Yeah, this one's gonna take me like a week.
Yeah. No, a month from now, I'll be like, think about
Like
it.
at the pool, it all happened.
Oh my God, it's all making sense now.
We just go back to the pool, please.
Let's just go back to the pool. All right, we'll see you next weekend. Goodbye.
Bye.